Go ahead and record. Okay, so I have already gotten my subject property in. I've already got my adjustments picked out because again, today, unlike Monday, we are just focusing on how to do the adjustments. So if you need help getting to this point in Moxie CMA, see myself and Tom. Right now, for the next 30 minutes, I just want to focus on adjustments. So when you're here on this screen, you've got your comps picked out. I have 5 comps. And right here, there's a button that says Add Edit Adjustment. So that is ultimately where we are going to start with doing our adjustments. I've went ahead and put my subject property information over here on the whiteboard. For those of you that can't see it, it's 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,200 living square foot house built in 1999. It's got a 726 square foot attached garage on 5.03 acres. It does have a concrete shed and a pole barn. That's basically what we're gonna do our basis adjustment on. So the first thing I want to talk about real quick, for those of you that are still new or feeling out the vacant land for the acreage adjustment. By all means, please open up a matrix tab. And I should have done this already, I apologize. And do a search on the area for vacant land so you have your pricing. I'm going to do 3 to 7 acres in Inverness right now and see what comes up. Again, that only gives me one match. Sold for $125,000 or $30,000 an acre. However, it is off of Stagecoach Trail. Surprised that's still Inverness. But so we'll hop back to criteria and see if we can adjust our parameters a little bit. 2 to 9 gives me 5 matches. So on a single line view, I'm just looking at this price per acre. And what do we see here? They're all around what number? $30,000. $30,000 there. You got 29.9, 32, 29.6, 28.4, 31.3. If I average those out, I'd probably get around $30,000 an acre. Now, with that being said, one thing we need to remember is when we do it at, for instance, a per acre price, there is a difference in if I have 5 acres and only 1 dwelling can be put on those 5 acres versus I have 5 1-acre lots. Does that make sense to everybody? I have to consider that because 5 1-acre individual pieces can hold 5 dwellings, where my 1 5-acre subject property can only hold 1 dwelling. So my rule of thumb for this, and again, depending on the market and the pricing it swings, I use what I call the 75% rule. So it would be 75% of my $30,000 per acre, because I have to factor in my 5 acres only gets 1 house, not 5 individual houses.
I had a good one recently where we did one in Pine Ridge, and the house was sitting on 1 acre, and we built 1 acre in Pine Ridge, which was $50,000 per acre. And then we had an adjustable home that was on 5 acres. So at first we adjusted $50,000 an acre, which brought our price up $200,000. But then we were like, well, actually, let's look at how much 5 vacant acres in Pine Ridge are worth. And we saw that it was worth about 30,000 an acre instead of 50. So instead we only adjusted about 100,000 instead of 200. So it's like a great way to find out what actual land value is in that area.
Correct. So always remember, again, if your comps are all on 5 acres, you're doing great, you know, and your subject is 5 acres, then you're golden. Again, the better the comp, the easier this is. But again, I picked this house because it's a little bit more unique, so you guys can see all the adjustments. So hopping back over to Matrix now, or not Matrix, to Moxie, we're going to do our first adjustment here. This property is on 8.07 acres. So I get my calculator out, and I'm going to do 8.07 minus 5.03. I have a difference of 3.04 acres. My 75% rule said each acre is worth $22,500. So I multiply it by that number, and my my land adjustment, we are going to deduct 68,400. Now, question in the room, why am I subtracting it?
Because it is superior.
Because my comp is better. It's superior, so I have to pull that money away. Real quick, is everybody okay with the CIA CBS? Comp inferior add, comp better subtract. Does everybody have that concept nailed down in their head? I don't need to go over it.
Please don't.
Good. I don't want to, but I will. So for Moxie, I now know I click add edit adjustment. I can call it acreage or land, whatever you want to call it. And I know now minus first. And what was my number? 68.5?
Yeah, 68.
And I hit add. This is the important. You got to hit add. If I just hit confirm or cancel or click away, it does not save that adjustment. So you want to always make sure you hit add. Then it puts it down on a line item here, and it gives me the next point of adjustment to start making. So I have a couple cheat sheets here if you guys need them to help you out. Let's talk about bedrooms versus square footage. The big thing here I want to make clear is we don't want to double adjust. If I'm going to adjust for square footage, I'm not also going to adjust for bedrooms. If I'm going to adjust for bedrooms, I'm not also going to adjust for square footage. Again, you end up doing double adjusting, and that can either hurt you a lot or help you too much. And again, in this market, the help too much is going to be the thing that I'm trying to avoid. Because again, overpricing a listing now has become pretty detrimental. With that being said, if you find that you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, then let's just say it's 1,200 square feet, and your 5 comps you pull all seem to be 2-bedroom, 2-bath around 1,200 square feet, you may make the decision, you know what, instead of square footage, I will do the bedroom adjustment, and I'm going to add, again, my comp is inferior, so I'm going to add for that bedroom on those 2 bedrooms, but I'm going to leave the square footage alone. Does that concept make sense? So do one or the other. And the example that I use is typically what I see. It's a small 3-2, and the comparables seem to all be 2-2s, but they're all within that same square footage. Do that bedroom adjustment instead, and that way you can make up that difference for having a 3-2. Because again, 3-2s they have a bigger buyer pool. Again, most families are not going to want a 2-2. They're going to want a 3-2. So your buyer pool will be bigger.
Wayne, does price per square footage go up when you hit the 3-bedroom mark?
Yeah, no, I don't.
I think on a smaller house, the price per square foot versus 1,200 square feet versus 2,000 square feet will be a lesser number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually like a deviation or a breaking point on your square footage. When you look at your individual comps, you can kind of see that.
And my big thing with like price per square foot, it's a general guideline here, but I can tell you if I go from Pine Ridge 2 streets over into Citrus Springs, we can have a drastic change in price per square foot. So if I'm trying to use this price per square foot at this blank, things are $130 a square foot. Where? Because I can show you $250 and I can show you $80, but again, so I don't use it as this blanket.
I have a buyer for the $80 a square foot.
Right, yeah. That was a little bit of a stretch, but that's all. So it really is, and again, I use Pine Ridge and Citrus Springs because that's one of the biggest ones. Pine Ridge sits in this community that's getting high dollar, and then you do venture over into Citrus Springs and it drastically changes. So you do want to be aware of that and you want to be careful with that. But hopping over to, we're going to do our square foot adjustment. So this comp here, I know it's a little bit hard to see, but this comparable is 2,415 square feet. And our subject property is 3,210 living square feet. So again, we need to find our difference. 3,210 minus 2,415. We have a difference of 795 square feet. For those of you that have the cheat sheet in front of you, again, this home here was built in 1999. It's still pretty much original. It does have vaulted ceilings, but it's got popcorn ceilings, it's got Formica countertops. So my number of adjustment is going to be $45 per square foot. It's good sized, it's not run down or anything like that, but it's dated. So we then multiply it by 45, and we have our adjustment of $35,775. Are we adding or subtracting that? We are adding because the comparable is inferior. It is smaller. So again, on this screen, we can type in square foot or write it out however you want to do it. 35,775. I don't need to put a plus sign. I just do 35,775 and I hit add. Now we have our square foot adjustment as well. Moving on, and guys, this is one that I can't stress enough about in this market right now. Garage. I know a lot of us like to just do the garage space adjustment. However, at face value, this house here has a single door and a double door, right? So what would you call that space-wise? Car space. Three-car garage. Well, guess how big the space is in between the two doors? It's twice as big as normal, right? When my dad built it, he wanted more space between the doors. So I had 726 square feet. So if I just call it a three-car garage, I don't add for that. I'm losing out on that potential value. And again, it will impact me. So this is why I put the square footage on my whiteboard. And again, if I go over to the property appraisers and I hit sketch, I have my garage, square footage right here of 726. Now, does this make it a little bit more work, a little bit more annoying because you have to find all your comparables garage square footage? Sure, yes. I'm not going to argue with you on that. However, this is our job, guys. And again, the more that we skimp out on doing these things, the less likely you're going to get this listing, the less confident you're going to be in the home. Again, when I can say, we adjusted for your 726 square foot garage, it shows that I know something about the house that probably all these other realtors are not doing and are not talking about. So we know our comparable property, 2860 East Truck Farm. So again, I'm just going to go on the property appraisers, 2860. Pull that up. Do it.
Did truck start?
Yeah, okay, so here's my tech tip of the day. Let me hop back real quick. I did 2860, and I know the road name is Truck Farm, right? But instead, I couldn't remember, is there a space? Is there not a space? If I know the word truck is in it and I put the asterisk, it's gonna find anything that has 2860 and the word truck. Whether there's a space, not a space, an S, whatever, if it's got the word truck in it, it's gonna give me the result. So that asterisk can become very helpful. That's my tech tip of the day. So I use the example, Robin Hood. There's multiple Robin Hoods in the county, some with a space in between Robin and Hood, some without a space between Robin and Hood. So this helps me find it no matter what. Here's the property. Again, I'm gonna hit sketch and I'm gonna see, guess what? No attached garage at all, right? Now, again, this is going to tell me I need to check, is there a detached structure? And we're going to get to the detached buildings later on. Right now, I'm just focused on my attached buildings. But just so we can see, there is an open pole barn, covered porch, but I'm not seeing anything. Oh, wait, do I have the wrong house? I think I have the wrong house. No? Okay. I think I'm good. Let me just double check. Okay. Yeah. No garage attached. Doesn't look like it has a detached garage either, just a pole barn. So we're going to have fun with that one. We're going to make some adjustments. But 726 square feet is my subject property garage. 726 times, now again, for your cheat sheets, there are attached garage numbers on there. And guys, these update as the market changes. So if your cheat sheet was the original one I made 5 years ago, please grab a new one. If it's one from 3 years ago, please grab a new one. We may see a change back the other way here pretty soon. So when I do this math out and I use my $35, a lot of people are like, well, Wayne, you could never build that garage for $25,000. I understand, but I have to think about it. That garage was built in 1999. Depreciation is still a factor here. And in 1999, that's probably what you could build a garage for. Now, I'm saying all this, you got to use it with a grain of salt as well, because again, this one, it's justifiable. If I have one that's only 4 years old, again, these things come into play. So that's why I can't stress this enough. These are guidelines. This is not law written in stone that you have to follow every single number and every single word that's on this sheet. I want you guys to make sure you're aware. And again, we've talked about it a lot. We use that word, the art of appraising. It's an art, not a science every time. Oops. So one thing I have learned this, for some reason, when you like hit save, it sometimes changes the order of your comparables because I have it listed high to low. And since it changed my adjusted price, it now changed the order. So pay attention to that. The other day I was doing one and I started adjusting on the wrong. But there's our truck farm lane. So we're going to add an adjustment. And we're going to do garage. And we're going to add 25,760. Add. All right. So now we've got these three done. So they have a pole barn. My parents' house has a pole barn. So we're going to, and it's approximately about the same size. The one thing I can look at too, real quick. Yeah, my parents is not on any concrete or anything like that either. So again, that one we're going to call a wash. My dad's probably a little bit bigger. That one's got a metal roof. No, my dad's is metal too. So I think we're doing pretty good on that adjustment. My dad has a concrete shed.
Wait.
Yep.
While you're on the pole barn, what value would you give to a pole barn?
So that I would probably give around between $15, maybe $20 a square foot if it's like absolutely amazing and all that. But again, doesn't seem to have electric, not on any concrete. These are obviously things that lower the value. The other thing you always want to be careful with, let's just say, I'm using a random number here, but let's just say that pole barn got put up in 2010. And the seller's like, well, I paid $20,000 for it. So what do they expect you to add for their pole barn? $20,000. But guess what? It ain't worth $20,000 anymore, right? So again, you got to understand, they may tell you I paid insert X very large number into it. That doesn't mean that that's instantly what we're going to use it as the adjustment part. So concrete shed, my dad decided to build a shed as he saw them build his house, and he built the shed with concrete block, raised subfloor, like the work windows, the French doors. I mean, he went all out. So it's a very nice shed. I'm going to be impartial here though. It's just a shed still. Like, he overbuilt it, so I wouldn't give it probably that crazy amount, but I'm going to say he's got a shed, and I'm going to say it's $2,500. It's, much nicer than the prefab one you buy at Lowe's or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it's 20 years old. It is what it is. So this is, again, where I'm going to tell you this is where that art of appraisal comes in. Jim, what's the price for fencing right now?
$5 a foot.
For new. Right, so fencing is $5 a foot for a new fence. So again, if they have a 20-year-old fence, please don't use $5 a foot for a fence.
Barbed wire and chain link.
Right.
The barbed wire is maybe $3.
There you go. Barbed wire is $3 a square foot for new fencing. So again, you guys want to make sure you're adjusting accordingly for those things. Year built. So let's talk about year built. I know I've stressed this quite a bit. Actual age versus effective age. A lot of times we are now in the realm of using effective age, not actual age, because most of these houses now have been updated, remodeled, so on and so forth. So again, this is the importance of going to look at said property before you do this, because you can do it. It will determine your square footage price. It will determine your depreciation here on year built price. So again, I've said my parents' house is still pretty much all original. They've updated some appliances and that's it. The roof is original, all of that. You know, the floors, the carpet, the countertops, it's all still original. So I'm going to use actual age on this adjustment, for this demonstration. However, I want to stress enough, effective age has become more and more prevalent. If you need help with saying, hey, what do you think this year built is, please come see me, have some pictures, text them to me. You know, Jim, Karen, we're all here to help you and give you our opinion on that. However, if a house is in 1980 and it's been fully remodeled this year, you can't call it a 2022. There are still obviously lots of things that are 1980, whether it's trusses, concrete foundation, the block, the exterior wall, you know, there's still all of those things that may still be original. So you're never going to call it a 2022. You may bridge the gap and say, hey, it's 2005, maybe a 2010 if it's all done to the nines. But again, you can't call it a 2022. On the flip side, if you think that that's where your CMA is getting impacted either too much or not enough, think about the square footage adjustment. Maybe raise that price per square foot then, or lower it if your comp is, or your subject is smaller and all your comps are bigger, because that goes both ways. Yes, sir.
If you run into a home where it's partially renovated, what I'll do is give them, like, say they did the kitchen and one bathroom.
Right.
Well, I'll just individually give them bumps.
Right. So we can do a $5,000 kitchen remodel line. I mean, I can type in kitchen remodel and add $5,000 instead of trying to figure out effective ages and go all that. That's totally fine. And again, you may see that where bathrooms are all original, but the kitchen was redone. So we want to add some value, but we're not going to call it across the board a year built adjustment because that affects everything across the board. So yeah, Stephen is absolutely correct in being one of the things that you can do instead. I've made quality of construction adjustments as well. I know, Lawanda, we were doing one where we decided to do a quality of construction adjustment because we looked, our subject property was built much better than what we saw from the comparables, whether it's, again, a ceiling height issue, you know, people talk about insulation, energy efficiency, all of that stuff can come into play with an adjustment like that. So there are things that we can adjust outside of just what I have written on these sheets or things that go and affect things like year built.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
If you're familiar with the Marshall and Swift replacement cost, which is on this computer, you can go into segregated costs to find out what your numbers would be if you want to do it individually.
Yeah, so the Marshall and Swift program, guys, for those of you that have no idea what that is or what I'm talking about, we can help you with that. But it's a program on this computer here where you input the way it was built, you know, concrete block or frame, the flooring type, the size, all of that stuff, and it pumps out and it says, here's what it would cost to rebuild, your replacement cost number, and it will also factor in depreciation. It will give you a depreciation number. So again, if you're struggling doing a CMA or you can't find comps, that may be the route to go and to do a replacement cost thing. Now, with all that being said, it doesn't really become super effective if you've got a house on 1,000 acres, right? Again, we're talking about replacement costs for the house. We're not factoring in, so you still have to have a cost for that land and all that. So again, it's mainly just on replacement cost factors. So real quick, I'm going to try and get through this. The comp number one was built in 2021. My parents' house was built in 1999. So we have a 22-year difference. When we do this, top of the page or second from the top, 1% per year is still the adjustment that I make. Again, this is for single family homes. Mobile homes have a different depreciation factor. And again, mobile homes is going to be the toss up as well, because I've seen 1955 mobile homes that are in much better shape than 2019 mobile homes. So I don't have a blanket use 0.5%, use 2%, because it's a sliding scale with a lot of factors involved. But this, I feel comfortable doing 1% per year. So that means 22%. A lot of people say, well, 22% of what? 22% of what my comparable property sold for. So 710,000 times 0.22,
You're not taking the land value out?
156. No, I'm taking the land value out on the land adjustment. So, and this is the reason that I say this, and Jim always brings this up. I do this because I'm doing it across the board. So I'm keeping my factor the same across the board. My $22,500 per acre stays the same. My 1% per year stays the same. This is also where a range is nice, because again, if I take just the number that it pumps out, $653,000, I'm not giving myself a range window. And then once we're done, I'm going to show you what I do to kind of back myself up on what I do. But I have a $156,200 adjustment. People are like, oh my God, that's a crazy adjustment. Well, remember, this is a 2021 home that sold for $710,000. I have to come down. I cannot tell my parents, yeah, go sell it for $710,000. That would be me being a bad realtor. Great son, bad realtor. So 156,200.
Don't you think, like, this is an extreme, like, I just don't see that even as a comp against your parents' house because of the difference in the square footage and the architecture is so plain. I mean, it's
Yeah.
box.
Well, and again, I purposely wanted to use a house like this and comps like this because, again, if I had perfect comps, 5 acres, concrete block, 1999, this would be a straightforward, easy CMA. But again, for using this, I want to see, and again, I'm not done yet. So at the end, I have 5 comparables. So I'm going to look at those 5 comparables and I'm going to say, man, this one's killing me, or it's just the outlier. The rest of them all seem to line up in this range, and this one is out there. Guess what we can hit? A little X and nix it. But I want to use it right now because maybe it will be something that, again, at the end of the day, adjusts out, or it doesn't, but we're going to find out. What were you saying, Lance?
Just basically your discretion on what comps to use or what not.
Yeah. Again, in a perfect world, our comps are perfect. But, and again, Inverness Highlands houses, you can find good comps for. There's a lot of them. They're all built around the same time, same style, same everything. This is a little bit more unique, and I wanted to show you guys how that works. Any questions on what we just did as far as our adjustments? Because for the sake of time, I'm going to kind of move fast through just doing the same thing we just did again and again and again. So, going to do our adjustment. I don't remember which one I started with, but we're going to do square foot here real quick. And I didn't look.
32 versus 32.
No, so you got, actually, here's a very good point. This number right here that Moxie pulls, total under roof. So, again, and like Tom said on Monday, verify your numbers with the public record. I want you guys to use property appraisers first and foremost to verify your number. If there's a difference, then you investigate a little bit further. I remember, yeah, go ahead.
I know, like, some people don't have that luxury at their desk, but I did one with Jim, and he has 2 monitors. And instead of just, like, going back and forth and trying everything, on the left monitor we had Moxie, and on the right monitor we had the property appraiser.
Here's my second tech tip of the
It's a
day.
great investment.
And what we just did, yeah, or you could do it this way, of course, do the half and half.
Is that Chrome?
Yeah, but you should, well, I don't know about Apple because I'm not an Apple user, but.
Show them how to do the tabs, to group the tabs at the top to.
Yeah, I mean, we have the tabs up here, but if you guys grab any tab up here, bring it out, and then throw it to the side of the screen with your mouse, it will half it and then ask you, what do you want on this second half? Just like I did here. So if you want to see that happen one more time, we had this as a full screen. If I grab my Moxie tab up here and I bring it over to the side of the screen, it gives me half, and then it says, which other half do you want? And I'm going to select the other side that I want. And now I have side by side on one screen.
You could group the tabs at the top too to like MLS, Moxie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into that.
But then, so basically what Jim and I did is we literally pulled up 2400 East Hampshire Street, and then, you know, we just one by one did it, and we, you know, that way we don't have to worry about shady realtors who put in the wrong information. We can find the garage space, we can just instantly see, hey, is there a new roof on it, new AC, is there a pole barn, and we don't have to keep going back and forth and looking at the MLS and stuff like that.
Right, and then like I told you guys the other day, Lawanda had a guest house one, and we found a lot of realtors like to throw in that guest house square footage. So if we're just using MLS, we're like, holy cow, these houses are huge. Where are they coming up with these numbers? And then we go to property appraisers, and the house is actually 2,800 square feet, and it's got a 1,000 square foot guest house, but the realtor is literally saying it's 3,800 square feet living. Again, greatly impacted our CMA. So you want to make sure you find all of that information out before you go crazy doing your adjustments. And guys, on things like garages and whatnot, it's all, a range. But again, if I'm 598 and my subject's 726, I'm going to make an adjustment. If my subject's 726 and my comp's 715, I'm not going to make the, $200 adjustment. That's fine. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that as well. 726 minus 598 times 35, $4,480 adjustment. And again, let's just pretend that is a 3-car garage. Again, I just left $4,480 on the table by just doing, hey, it says 3 and 3. So there is money that gets left on the table when you guys are just doing the car spaces.
When
Yep. Keep.
question,
Mhm.
how accurate for the adjustment of the garage, like 2-car garage versus 3-car garage?
That's what I'm saying. I don't do a space adjustment. I do a square footage adjustment.
Okay.
Because I've also been in some tiny 2-car garages.
Okay.
I mean, I don't see it being an actual full 2-car, but it has a bigger door, but then it shapes funny, anything like that. So again, you just want to be aware. So I don't do the space thing at all. I do it by square footage. Acreage. Hampshire is on 5.4 acres. So again, for the sake of time, I'm going to say we're close enough in this realm, just to keep going. Got the garage, got the year built. So we need to find out when this one was built. This one was built in 1990. So again, I'm using actual age here, but just to be safe, I'm going to pull up 2400 Hampshire, because again, if this has been fully remodeled, I'm going to give money to my parents' house when it's in 1990, because this was built in 1990. But we're about to see that may be a bad adjustment to do.
And then, Wayne, if you want to make it easy too, is it on Moxie, you literally just hit listing details?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I'm sorry. If I hit this button here, I have the pictures right there. Again, my brain was in Toolkit where we didn't have that ability. Moxie has the ability to pull it up all right there. So real quick, looks like floors have been done. It does have low ceilings. My parents are vaulted, but kitchen has been remodeled. Again, it would not be fair of me to add 9% to my parents' house. And this is, again, the importance of analyzing your comparables as well. They have granite countertops. They have the double oven. A lot of things here that are very nice that they have done. So looking at this, I'm going to call that 9% a total wash, and then we actually may end up doing an adjustment the other way. And I would do that as far as like an updates adjustment, not a year built adjustment, because again, I can explain it better. If I go year built on my CMA and this person opens it up and says, whoa, it says 1990, but you're taking money away from my house. Why are you doing that, right? That doesn't look good. But if I write updated home and I take money, now again, my parents or the customer knows they haven't done any updates. This is a much easier thing for them to understand. And that's why, again, I want to do it on a line item that they can understand. Make sense? Okay.
Wait, if you had a $60,000 kitchen there, which I probably saw, would you agree with that, Wanda?
That's
What value would you give it?
If we're just doing a kitchen adjustment,
Yeah, I'm talking about the segregated.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say, again, the customer says, hey, I remodeled the kitchen, it cost $60,000. I say, okay, when did you do it? And they say, well, we did it 2 years ago. So we got a 2-year-old $60,000 kitchen. Again, factoring in, we can't say we're adding $60,000. One thing that it's a fun conversation I always have, that was the seller's taste, right? So a buyer may walk into this kitchen and go, ugh, right? So that is part of this art of appraisal as well. That is the seller's kitchen, may not be the next buyer's kitchen, but as far as me throwing a number at it, I'm probably going to cut it in half. It's probably going to be a $30,000 adjustment at most, unless, again, this is where the art comes in. If they've got a Sub-Zero refrigerator, a Wolf stove, and again, if you're familiar with those things, we're talking about $25,000, $30,000 for those two appliances. My note just went out the window, and again, I have to factor these things in. So again, it is being able to analyze what you've got there as well. So again, I'm showing you guys this on this particular home. Each home's going to be different. Everything changes.
Can I make a comment? about
Absolutely.
that?
Yep.
When you have a house and you put a new kitchen in it, you can't give it full value because it does have a kitchen, okay, that's worth something. It's 20 years old, but it may be worth, like Wayne said, half of whatever the replacement is. So something that somebody prefers to do in terms of an upgrade won't give it a dollar for dollar value. That's where I was going with that.
I think like we have this statistic on the realtor.com. If you get a new kitchen, you probably like 75% get back.
Yeah, I remember the sheet, but it's older. I've tried to find an updated version. They haven't updated. But a big one, guys, too, is the roof.
Yeah.
So a roof costs $15,000 to put on. I'm just arbitrary number, $15,000. Doesn't instantly make the home worth $15,000. There was a roof on there. I mean, short of it being completely gone, there was a roof already on there. So it can't be, like Jim says, a 100% return. The only thing that was 100% return on that sheet that I'm talking about was spray insulation. That was what they found out. The only thing that cost would be 100% return was having your insulation done.
What'd you give for that?
For the insulation? I mean, again, it would depend on size of the house and all that, but
Worth of insulation.
yeah, right.
$10,000.
It'd really just be based on one. I'd want to find out what they did. And again, with insulation, guys, it's going to have to be a recent one too. If they say, hey, we got it all redone 10 years ago, well, how many people have walked over the attic, patted all that stuff down, moved it all to this? I mean, again, all these things do come into play, but I'm just pointing that one out because I remember that was the only thing that was at 100%. Every other remodel, adding a bathroom, remodeling a kitchen, doing the bedroom, all of those were under 100% return on what it cost to do. I'm going to try and get through this, guys. I lost where I was at. I'm on this one. Year bill. No, we're not doing the year bill, but we are going to do, like I said, we are going to do an update adjustment. And again, my comp is better. It's more updated, so I'm subtracting. Now, again, everybody says, Wayne, well, what exactly do you do? Go through the pictures, analyze the home. I'm going to use a $15,000 adjustment here. And where did I pull that number? I pulled that out of my hat. Like, again, I'm trying to get through this class, but I would look through the pictures. I would find out, are the bathrooms updated? Are the kitchen is updated? All of that stuff comes into play. Am I missing anything? I think I got the main. I know I did. I'm just going to skip over the shed thing because we're trying to get through this. All right, Pleasant Grove. Luanda, is that one yours? Did you have that one?
No.
Listing details. Real quick, let's take a pic through it. So again, more updated than my parents' house. Scott Grant account. Here's. I knew it was going to come up. That fridge right there is twice the size of my parents' fridge. Okay, 2 of my parents' fridges fit in that one. So again,
$18,000 purchase.
yeah, right. That's a lot of money in a refrigerator. So again, this comparable is going to have some nuances that I may have not done in the other ones because it's got things like this. I haven't seen the stove yet, but wow. the other way. We're not doing adjustments. I'm just kidding. They went all in on the fridge, guys. But again, nice home. It's got the pole barn. This one is on concrete. My parents is not on concrete. So again, there's a little bit of a difference for that factor. This is fenced. My parents isn't fenced. They got a lot of cracks in their blacktop driveway looking thing. There's plenty of places to make some adjustments here. So that's where we're going to start. Now, add an adjustment. Right now I'm going to start. Oh, no, did I do this one already? Yeah, this one. This is on 9.87 acres, so let's do that real quick. 9.87 minus 5.03. What was my acreage adjustment? Who remembers? Very good. So $108,900 adjustment. Comp is better. We have to subtract. Oops.
When I do this, I have to make a note of what I came up with on my adjustment. Because I can't remember like you, young. I can't.
Well, so again, you got a whiteboard, use your whatever you want to do that helps you with that. Absolutely. And again, guys, we are working on getting this to look more like the toolkit one where you have all of them already written out so you don't have to type them in. That is I voiced my concerns both in Phoenix at the convention, online, via phone, all of that. So they know that we want to see all of them broken out so we don't have to type them in. They've heard that loud and clear and they are going to work on it.
I yelled at them at the advisory board meeting. Don't worry.
Yeah, they're working on it. 8586 Pleasant Grove. So the one place you are probably still going to have to jump around because I don't think Moxie shows is the garage square foot, like the attached garage square footage, right?
That's why I say just have the property appraiser open on one and have Moxie open on the other. Just do all your adjustments in there and you're done. I'm starting to prefer it this way. And that's not me saying it because I want to use it. That's me saying it because I'm starting to prefer it this way. So.
Yeah. So again here, no garage, no attached garage on this home as well. So we would make that adjustment. I'm using, it was around $24,000. I don't remember off the top of my head. Again, I would do the math out. I'm just trying to get you guys through. I know everybody's sitting here thinking like, why are we going to go through all these comps? So for the sake of time and understanding, let's pretend I just went through and done all my adjustments. Everybody okay with that? Everybody's seen the process. So what I do now is I look down here at these adjusted prices. So again, remember, we're talking about there may be some outliers that we need to figure out. So this one is still 702. Just pretend it's all been adjusted. I know we haven't done that, but this one's 549. This one's 474.9. This one's 470. This one's 440. So it seems like we have 2 on the higher end and 3 on the low end. In the grand scheme of things, that may actually balance us out some. So for this sake, I'm just going to say, all right, let's hit continue and see what it tells me. It gives me a range of 573, which
I think it's accurate.
that's actually not bad. It's pretty close to my, now, please do all your adjustments. I got lucky on this one that it ended up being 2 high, 3 low, and it kind of worked. You want to go through and do all your adjustments. But what I want to show too, you have the create range part here. You want to click that button and you want to give yourself, again, that range. Now you can play with this. You could say like, all right, let's do 3%. 556 to 5, yeah, it might be a little too high. Let's bump it down to 2%. Because again, anytime the seller gets a range, what do they look at?
High number.
High number. They don't ever look at anything else, right?
Could you look at like the price per square foot and then see the deviation between the price per square foot and then maybe adjust the range based on that percentage?
Yeah, so we can look right here. I mean, I don't have it in percentages, but right here we can see our adjusted prices are all right here. We got 215, 227, 176, 137, and 157. So again, my outliers are 227 and 137. So realistically, if I wanted a decent average, I'd kick those out and I would take 215 plus 176 plus 157 divide by 3, $182 a square foot. That is total square footage across the board. Again, we're just talking about a full square footage number. We're not talking about breaking up living to garage to porch. And that includes 5 acres a minimum. Most of them had 5 acres or more. So again, this is where I'm always very, very leery on using just a square foot number when you have houses like this. If all my comps are on a 1/4 acre, they're all about the same, absolutely I can pump out square footage. I can say, you know what, it's about $135 square foot or 150, times it by the living square footage, and boom, I have my number. This though, you've got to look at the whole picture. You cannot just look at the square footage number and say, yeah, we're okay there. Now, to play Elias's math out here real quick, we'll take 182, times it by our 3210, and guess what? Pretty much in the range. Like it again, and this is a way to check your math and say, okay, it seems to be things are lining up to be put in my range.
Well, my other question is, because I run into this and I'm trying to figure out if I'm picking the right comp or not, but the deviation was like $38 between the top square footage and the bottom one, right?
Well, if I remove my outliers, yeah, because I'm pulling out 227, 137, because if I leave that in, that's $90 a square foot. That is way too big.
But the price per square foot on 227, even close to 157, is pretty far apart, right?
Well, I did 215 to 137 is my number. So yeah, in this case it is. But remember, I've got properties that are 5 acres, 9 acres. I've got ones that don't have garage. And so again, if I'm just focusing on a price per square foot, it doesn't factor all of that stuff in. And that's where you want to be careful with just looking at price per square. If your comps are very similar, absolutely, that can be a good metric. If your comps, and again, we used comps that were pretty different, I don't want to focus on that square footage.
It's like, this is after the adjustment. I already took out the full barn. I already took out
Whatever, right.
And you're trying to make it as even as possible.
Correct. I'm trying to make everything like my subject property.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it a 5 acre, 1999 built, 4 bedroom, 3 bath, 726 garage. I'm trying to make all of my comparables like that subject. So, one thing I want to do real quick, and this is easier done when you have your matrix comps pulled up. I didn't do that yet, but for this sake, what I do now is I hop back over to matrix. I go to my criteria and I say, okay, what is currently active in Inverness? And for my parents' house, I would also use Floral City because they are pretty close. They're Inverness Golf, back Inverness Golf and Country Club. It's close enough to Floral City there. I would add it in. Again, let's do that 2 to 9 acres. And again, I would just, realistically, if I search for my comparables here, all I would do is uncheck close and check active. I skipped that step this morning, so I have to pump all this stuff in. But let's just say it was 2,400 to, I don't know, 3,900. I got nothing. Let's see. Still got nothing. What's going on here?
Still got nothing.
Still got nothing. Residential. Maybe it's because
You did a reset, yeah.
yeah, so guys, if you're ever doing that and you're like, why do I keep getting 0? Back up and restart. Like something got hung up somewhere. And again, it happens to me, it happens to everybody. Something got hung up somewhere. So just refresh, reset, say, all right, let me type that stuff back in. 2 to 9. I don't remember what I said, but we're going to try this right now. Single family, Inverness, Floral City. I got 4 matches, so let's compare. What am I competing with now? What's my competition? So let's look at the first one. It's on 4.67 acres, it's built in 2016, and it's 2,200 square feet. So again, it is newer, smaller, on very similar land. So again, they're at 672. The big thing I can't compete with is the 2006. I am all original. So I know that is going to be my Achilles heel here. So do I want to be anywhere close to $672,000? No. Is my number anywhere close to $672,000? All right. So yes, I am more competitively priced than this one. So far, so good. Next. 3.86 acres, built in 2001, 2,300 square. I totally forgot an adjustment to make is my parents have a pool. I didn't remember that one, but again, remember, that is something you want to adjust for. If it has a pool versus not having a pool, you want to make those adjustments. But overall, less land, similar year built, smaller house with a pool. This is in Citrus Hills. And so again, I'm leery of saying, hey, these numbers are the same, because just like I told you the Pine Ridge example, Citrus Hills is going to attract a different crowd than Loch Ness. So this is listed at $550,000. One thing I like to look, it's been on market for 118 days. So this is a conversation. This is one of those that I'm going to bring up. I'm going to print this one out and I'm going to bring it up to the seller. I'm going to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's something. It's in a community, so I know we're going to differ a little bit. Now, my parents is in an HOA as well, so it's not like it's completely apples to oranges. They are, actually, it probably is like apples to oranges. They're both fruit. We're not comparing apples and semi-trucks. So this is 50, and it's been sitting for that long. So again, I want to put that concept in their head that this is not going to be a quick 1 week sale like it used to may have been. Next one here. Oh, this is where I instantly say, I'm out. I'm not going to use this one at all. Because again, water changes the game entirely. Compare water to water, non-water to non-water. My parents have a pond in their backyard, and I have lived through it being completely dry, and I've lived through airboating in it. So I'm not going to factor that concept in. It is a pond. It's nothing special. It's got a bunch of grass and everything grown all over it. It is not a feature that I'm going to say is a water feature. And then finally, 7.95 acre, 2-story home, 2,288 square feet, built in 1984 for $598. So again, looking at year built, 127 days, or I'm sorry, not year built, days on market, 127 days. So again, that tells me if I'm in this price range, I have to be better here in most of the things to be competitive. And again, I have less land, but I'm better in the square footage. I'm better in the year built. I have a private pool. That's how I adjust. Like that's at 598 and sitting for that long. We're more competitive, so we have a better shot at that. So I go back and I look at my competition. I print these out. And Moxie even has the ability to add active comparables. Jim was doing that yesterday. He was adding active comparables. It will not adjust your price, but they're in there, and you can show those reasons that I just went over as to why, again, we're sitting okay at our number. Any questions, comments, concerns? I know that was a lot. I don't want to keep you guys here all day, even though I could. And just so you guys know, how long have we been doing that? About an hour, right? My CMA was not done in an hour. Again, I skipped a lot of stuff. So when you guys are doing CMAs, make sure you allot the time to do a CMA. If you think it's going to be a 5-minute thing, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, I'm going to tell you, don't expect to get the list.
Under roof porches, I figured they're worth less than the garage because the garage has, 4 walls. And
Right.
Doors. So I usually figure those about $20 a foot.
$15 to $20, again, depending on condition, size, things like that you want to factor in. So there's a couple of things that I want to mention real quick too. Stefan does a pen, paper, sheet, and line items, almost everything. And there is nothing wrong with that, and that's totally okay. I want to convince Stefan to start doing it all on the computer, but he's got his ways. I'm not going to, that's how he does his business. I don't want to change that.
I do with the pen and paper too. So
Elias has pen and, yeah, so there's nothing wrong with that.
don't worry, Stefan.
What I want to say though too, we do a range, again, to give yourself some breathing room as well. So if you're like, oh shoot, I didn't do the front entry port, it's okay. You don't have to adjust for every single little thing. You have a range for a reason. But again, these big major ones, you want to do it. Now, the other thing I want to mention too, because it's on here, why do we adjust for bathrooms and not bedrooms? Bathrooms have fixtures. They have pipes in the concrete or through the floor or wherever. All of those things are extra additional building costs that need to get factored in. A bedroom itself, it's quote unquote dead space as far as it's the concrete slab on the floor, carpet or flooring on top of it, walls, roof over top. That's it. It does not have the additional fixtures, plumbing, piping, faucets, toilets, sinks, etc. So that's why we always still do a bathroom adjustment, and we don't always do that bedroom adjustment. Any questions? My throat hurts. Talk too long. Jim, anything else that you wanted to mention? Again, guys, this is, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. This is very important. This to me is one of the things that make you guys successful realtors. Ryan, I showed Ryan this when he first started, and Ryan, how many CMAs did you do before you got your first listing?
One,
No, like just practicing CMAs, figuring out how to do it.
Every single house I look at, I do a CMA.
Right.
I don't want any question.
Right. It didn't matter. Ryan was going to do a CMA. Ryan was going to learn how to work the program, how to make the adjustments and do that. And that obviously has paid off tenfold. Ryan is now very good at appraising property and whatnot. But again, that takes time. Jim can do it in his head. Well, in his head and on his pencil and paper. However, it's harder to present that. Now, when you got 45 years, he can probably still do it and get the listing, but most of us in this room can't. So we have to have some kind of a packet presentation and all that stuff as well. So again, that's where that comes into play. It's a very good resource. It's a very good tool. So again, I highly encourage you to do this, work this program. There are lots and lots of benefits. Again, the final presentation to me is much, much better. And again, I did a bad job and I didn't put a property picture, but this looks a whole lot better than any of the other presentations that we've ever had. Jim has said that, I think everybody agrees the look of the presentation is bar none much better than anything else we've ever had. So there are little things that may be a little bit frustrating, but I think once you guys start doing it, working through it, it becomes second nature. Again, even like me, I still jump to my old habits of pulling up Matrix instead of, like Tom said, clicking that listing info or the property info stuff and boom, having most of the information I needed all in front of me right there. So
I would like to say one thing. Always remember that a person's home is their castle. Respect it. I don't care if it's a tent or if it's a castle. Show respect and it'll gain you a nice impression. And secondly, there are so many variables. You take a garage, we say $35 a square foot. Well, what about a finished garage? What about a garage that's finished with cabinets? What about a garage that's finished? So these are just parameters, and please, there's nothing sacred about them. They're just indicators. And you need to tell people that, because I guarantee you, they know more about their home, their house than you do. And that's the respect you have to show them in order to gain their confidence in what you're doing. Yeah, I can write it down. There's a guy in town, I think he's dead now, but we were contemporaries. And he used to wear a baseball cap backwards. He used to have a t-shirt and he'd be in his shorts. Okay, he was a very successful realtor in his own right. But that is not the kind of impression or respect you show someone when you come into their home. This is a real deal with me. When I go into someone's home, I take my shoes off. Now, you don't have to do that. But if you're in a cow pasture and you bring cow poop so I just explain to people, I feel more comfortable showing them respect than not showing them respect by either looking like a damn fool and representing this company, yourself, and them. Am I making sense there or am I wrong?
No, you're right.
Okay, I think, Ryan, you and I had a conversation, and you just have to show respect to these people, because if you're not showing them respect, they're not going to respect you. Okay, well, I can write a number down. I can say this is what it's worth, and 9 chances out of 10 I'll be real close. But does that do anything for these people in terms of giving them confidence and showing them that I had enough respect and enough care about what I'm doing to show them exactly how I came up with these figures? You see the difference? It's very, very, very important. And one thing, you're representing this company, you're representing yourself, and you're showing respect to these people. And that goes a really long way in terms of getting listings. So always keep the psychology of the sale in mind. Do your homework, do it well. A lot of you will go out and give a price, and sometimes you'll do an appraisal beforehand and present that appraisal. I've always done a 2-step process where I go out and I look at it and find out what they have, because you can't tell about the finishes in the house. Are they cheap or are they expensive? And again, I'm just showing respect. Now, if you do that, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, I'm not criticizing someone that goes out if you look at all the pros, they say just do it in one shop or one stop because it saves time. Well, we're not all about saving time, we're about winning the sale, right? And the sale is the listing. That's the most important sale that you have to make. If you have the listings, you control the market. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, it's sacred. When you show respect, when you do your homework, when you make a good presentation, that's what's going to win the day, and that's what does win the day. Are we still not number one in the county for individual?
We're number one.
Yeah, we're number one in the, we were number one in the state. You know, our methods are proven. They may not always be right, but I can tell you, over the last 40 years, they've proven to win a lot of contests. We're not going to win them all. You got to be brave enough to walk away from some of them. But just keep that in mind. It's how you represent yourself, how you represent and respect them, and how you represent our industry. That's very, very important. And in terms of these square footages, please talk to people that have been around, because it does make a difference in terms of the finer points of appraising homes. Karen, myself, Wayne, and all the other senior agents in this office are more than happy. One of our strengths is working together and sharing opinions and experiences. So this is, remember the two things about winning and being successful in real estate. It's doing what? Prospecting, presenting, for what purpose?
Getting listings.
You got to get the listings. If you get the listings, you control the market. What are the processes of getting the listings? One, you got to know marketing. That's our office, and that's what we do. And secondly, equally important, you have to know how to appraise a property, right, in order to be able to sell it. Because if you're overpriced, you're not going to sell it. And if you've got the right price and you don't have the right marketing, I hate to say it, but in the last couple of years, yes, it even sold as long as we had multiple listing in that instance. But that game is now changing. So marketing and appraising. You put those two together with this company and we're invincible. I'm done.
Thank you, guys. Any questions, comments, concerns? Appreciate it. And if you guys need any of the gentlemen, Brandon Bank cards are here. Office at work.